LA 21. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and it's a busy Wednesday in the world of sports. LSU gets a win over Nichols last night in baseball. Koki Riley's here in 15 minutes to talk about it in his normal spot. It is a What If Wednesday. Do a little bit of that at the bottom of the hour. Reggie Bush bringing home some hardware today. I guess bringing it back home in this case. Brian Thomas and Mason Smith, a little bit of stock swap there. We'll talk about it in hour number 2 and some SEC baseball power rankings coming at you at the bottom of hour number 2 there. LSU got their first series win. Where do they stand right there? I'll let you know. All right. There have been some movements on social media today that have made me a little nervous for the New Orleans Saints' next 72 hours. I will be completely candid with you. Now, I'm learning about all of this for the first time on social media. How much the Saints already know, I'm not privy to that information and won't be. It's possible that they have long processed much of this information. Me personally, Joe talk show host up the road in Baton Rouge, haven't necessarily processed it a ton, but I'm starting to, and I don't like the way that it makes me feel when I dovetail it with the Saints' history. Daniel Jeremiah with the NFL Network sent out a tweet earlier this morning. He's at Move the Sticks on Twitter, and he said, to summarize my last 5 phone calls, everyone is moving up for an offensive tackle. Okay, I'll take that on its face. I don't know why anyone would tell Daniel Jeremiah anything. I honestly don't really know how that side of the whole media world works when it deals with things like draft picks. Like, that's something that's going to be kept pretty close to the vest with organizations. Certainly you do your vetting. You do a lot of research on the back end, but as far as like what you're planning on doing, it feels like everything that gets out into the media is a smokescreen to try to figure something else out. So maybe everyone is trying to move up for an offensive tackle. Maybe everyone's giving the illusion that they're trying to move up for an offensive tackle, when in all reality they're just trying to create opportunities for their own organization. I don't know. But Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network says everyone is moving up for an offensive tackle. That's one piece of news that has been leaked out today. Here's another piece of news that is concrete. James Hurst went on his social media to Instagram and wrote a lengthy retirement post. James Hurst was under contract for New Orleans this coming fall. He's not anymore. That thins out your offensive line even more. You've got uncertainty with Ryan Ramczyk. You've got Andrus Peat, who's a free agent. You don't know what Trevor Penning is. It is a dire situation on the New Orleans Saints offensive line as we sit here today in late April. Now, I'm not suggesting James Hurst was going to be an all-pro tackle next year, or even that the Saints want him to be one of their tackles next year. I guess wanted. That should be in the past tense. I don't know. But he was a possibility, and now he's not. And they may have talked with James Hurst since January about this decision and basically knew it was coming. That is very possible. I don't know. I'm not in those meeting rooms. I don't speak with James Hurst's agent or his family or Mickey Loomis or Dennis Allen. They have more information than me, and my gut would tell me they probably had a lot of conversations to this end. But this is the finality of it. So when I take Daniel Jeremiah saying everyone is moving up for an offensive tackle, and now I get the news that James Hurst is moving on, and I look at the Saints offensive line situation, My only reaction is that Mickey Loomis is about to tear a muscle reaching for the phone to trade his draft picks to move up 3 spots to make sure he gets a tackle. That's my only reaction to this situation. That's based on looking at the depth chart and knowing what Mickey Loomis does. And I'm not even just trying to use past history as evidence. He literally sat in front of the media this week and said, trading back, you're getting a lesser player. You're getting less players, Mickey. You may not get a lesser player, but you're definitely getting less players if you trade up. That's the difference. And yesterday I gave you my Saints draft goals, and they were to just cool your jets a little bit and make some draft picks. And right now it feels like the environment around the first round might dictate that the Saints are going to have to make a move in their eyes. Certainly not in mine. But you start to look at the teams in front of them that have been forecasted to take a tackle. First of all, you're going to say, well, who needs tackles? Everybody needs tackles. It's such a difficult position to get right, and it's so vital to your team. So suggesting that there are some teams that just don't need tackles, everybody needs offensive linemen. Whether or not you're going to take a top 15 pick on one is a little bit of a different discussion. But the Chargers are absolutely in the mix to take another tackle. They pick at 5. Now, are they going to trade back and let somebody like Minnesota come get a quarterback? Maybe. Are they likely to trade back past 14? That seems unlikely to me. So that would be one tackle that you probably aren't in position to get right now. The Titans at 7, a lot of people feel like there's a real chance they could take a tackle. And if somebody comes up to the Charger spot at 5 to take a quarterback, then maybe the Titans have Joe Alt fall on their lap. The Jets are at 10. Are they going to try to keep their really old quarterback upright for more than 12 minutes this year? Not that it was the offensive line's fault totally. It's Achilles popped, but you get the point. Or do they want to get him a new shiny toy like Brock Bowers? Maybe Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors. I don't know. The Raiders could certainly use a tackle. I'm looking at Matt Miller's mock draft from today, and they've got the Raiders taking J.C. Latham. But the Raiders are right in front of the Saints, and many people say they might be taking a tackle. And and again, this goes into the environment of the NFL draft. If there's a lot of buzz around tackles, and then a couple of tackles go, and the Raiders are sitting there, I just don't trust Mickey Loomis to sit on his hands. I just don't. And I think you're going to end up losing your second-round pick, maybe next year first, something that would just make my mind blow if I'm a Saints fan. So, I tried to do an exercise today, and we'll do a little bit more of this tomorrow, of what is guaranteed to move before the Saints pick at 14. And understand that I am aware of when I say guarantee, there's always some dude sitting in the green room that thought he was going 6th that ends up going 41st. I know that nothing is guaranteed in the draft, but let's speak with as much certainty as one possibly could when talking about an NFL draft. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May are going before 14. I don't see another way. I didn't even put J.J. McCarthy in that, and I feel but those 3 are going. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze, to me, are going before 14. And Joe Alt's not going to be there at 14. I don't believe Brock Bowers is going to be there at 14. I just rattled off 8 guys, and one of them was a tackle. If you want to throw J.J. McCarthy in there, you can. If you want to throw Byron Murphy in there, the defensive tackle from Texas, you can. Dallas Turner. And then you start to get to the sweet spot right there, where how far back are you willing to wait to take your tackle? Again, how could you possibly trust Mickey Loomis to wait? And so I'll be honest. I'm nervous about the state of where things are based on the environment in the first round, the state of the Saints roster, in the history of the front office, it feels like a recipe to do something that I certainly don't endorse. And it's been the chorus I've been singing here for 48 hours. And there's another 30 to go, and we'll see. It's a game of chess. We know that. It's what makes it fascinating. The players stay the same. The teams change as the trades happen. And what happens down in Metairie is going to be fascinating on Thursday night. But the news of the day, if you're just checking in with us, James Hurst has decided he's moving on from football. I was looking at a tweet from Nick Underhill from New Orleans Football, who's with the morning show guys every single week. And he said, look, the Saints guards, as James Hurst moves on, who played some tackle for him, Cesar Ruiz, Nick Saldiveri, and Tommy Kramer. You thought the tackle situation was dire. It is. Guard situation, not a lot better. We know where the Saints are headed in this first round. It's just the method that they take to get there that's the most important thing. And we'll just have to see how things shake out. Fascinating stuff, as always, any time of year with the National Football League. Excited to be here with you on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Lots and lots to get to over the next hour and 45 minutes or so. Looking for What If Wednesday submissions. If you're in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, throw them at us. So we'd love to hear what you have to say about What If Wednesday. We'll have to answer any questions you may have, sports or not sports. We're open to whatever it is that you got to ask about. We'll get with Koki Riley here coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet is ready to take you through all the huge sports moments this spring. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN has it all, including offers and promotions from Scott Van Pelt and Stephen A. Smith. From the playoff intensity, getting out on the links, and out to the ballpark, there's no better time to be a sports fan. So sign up today, and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with Bears Lake Charles, terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more. Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine.
Charles Hannegriff joined me and Jimmy out for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from the original Walk-Ons, Burbank at Nicholson. Dwayne Colucci and Matt Humans join us from Las Vegas, and it is finally NFL Draft Day, Round 1. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Thursday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented today by Mystery Electric, Goodwood Men's Clinic, and Shawbills. Donate today at 1045ESPN.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our baseball breakdowns all season long are brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar, 2 locations in Baton Rouge, Nicholson just south of campus, Bluebonnet in front of the Mall of Louisiana. I was at Plucker's last night, hosting a little sports trivia, had a great time watching some NBA hoops, as well as LSU and Nichols baseball. Tigers bust out the home run stick, especially late in the ball game. They win at 9-0 over the Colonels to improve to 26-16. Koki Riley covers the baseball squad for The Advocate and joins us every single Wednesday. Koki, how are you?
Doing great. How's it going?
Going quite well. What are the vibes around the team right now after a win in Columbia and a convincing midweek win over Nichols?
I think they're pretty high. I think they're as high as they've been since the end of non-conference play, at least. Just because, again, they've won 3 of 4. They won their first SEC series, and obviously it's baby steps, and they have a long way to go before they're even in the NCAA tournament field, let alone knocking on the door of anything more than that. But at the same time, they feel better about themselves, and I mean they probably should, just based on the results. And that 9-0 win last night against Nichols it's a pretty good win. I mean, Nichols is a team that could definitely make the NCAA tournament. They made it last year. They actually beat LSU last year, and obviously that team ended up winning the national title. So this is a pretty good program, and they definitely handled them pretty easily last night. So I think it was a pretty solid sign for them.
What was the difference for Gage Jump back in Columbia?
Swings and misses, right? And the 14 strikeouts, obviously. And I mean, I was off this, just full disclosure, I was off this past weekend, just a quick vacation before, getting back to the grind. But from everything I could tell, at least, though, his stuff was just a lot sharper. And I think everyone's velocity was down this past weekend because of the weather in Missouri, and it was colder. There was a lot of wind going on, but at the same time, he was just able to land all the stuff for strikes, and just location is just so important for these guys, because most of these guys have the stuff. It's just a matter of pitching it in the right spots at the right time, and that's something that Luke Holman had a lot of trouble doing against Missouri, but it's something that Gage Jump excelled at. He was obviously exceptional in that game.
Yeah, he was the highlight of the weekend from a pitching perspective, outside maybe of Griffin Herring, who has kind of molded into the shutdown guy whenever LSU needs to win a baseball game. They finally found a way to get a run rule without using him back on Friday, and then they were able to use him in that Sunday role. Speak to Jay's confidence in what Herring is giving them right now.
I think he would tell you that he's the best pitcher on their team right now, and he's arguably the best player on their team in terms of pure performance this season. And I mean, he's given up 1 earned run, and I think it was close to 20 innings pitched. It might be 20 innings pitched in SEC play, and that's just unbelievable. He's probably in the running for best reliever in the conference right now, and he's he's just been absolutely dominant. I mean, that fastball slider combination that he has going, his ability to tunnel both pitches and make it very, very hard for hitters to tell what's coming and when, it just makes him such a dangerous asset. And he doesn't really have much of a third pitch, but that hasn't really mattered in terms of him getting righties out. He's not afraid to backfoot that fastball. He's not afraid to backfoot that slider, and that's really helped him against righties. And he's just, I don't know, like his ability to, his attention to detail and his ability to understand himself as a pitcher. And I wrote about this quite a bit a couple weeks ago. Like that has been such an asset for him. And it's at least for LSU fans, it's kind of a shame that he's eligible for the draft this upcoming year, because, I mean, if he could come back next year, he would just be the answer for them at the top of the rotation. But, the fact that he's draft eligible means that, there's a very good chance that he could be going pro. So it's just been really, really fun to watch him pitch out of the bullpen this year.
That's interesting because he's only a sophomore, and you don't lose your leverage if he wanted to come back and take on a different role. Have you spoken to anybody about that decision that could be looming here in the summer?
I have not, in part because we still got a lot of baseball left to play, and that's probably not a conversation that the Herring family wants to have right now, especially when you're in the middle of the season. But I just figured, again, this is just, I have no insider information on this, but I just think that he's just been so good so far this season that, you could really capitalize on your value right now, just how because you can't be as better than what he's been so far in conference play. And that's what the scouts are looking at probably more than anything else. And, it's going to be hard for him to build off that unless he can really, develop that third pitch maybe. And you could say, he could help him if he starts. Well, these relief appearances are borderline starts anyway. So he's shown that he can provide length for a team. It's just a matter of, can he prove that he has that third pitch, because he's going to need it in the major league level. He's a changeup, something he's been working on really since high school, but he hasn't really deployed yet. And I'm kind of curious to see, can he sort of get that at some point? My guess is that he can. So, no, it'll be an interesting decision for him, but I just figure that he's been so good this year that I definitely think it's on the table for him, because he is eligible. I think most of the sophomores on this team are draft eligible for next year. But again, that's probably a conversation for later.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Look, this is a bit of a loaded question, which is not great for the host to do, but forgive me, because I just want to get your thoughts on it. I think, in my opinion, this turnaround, if it's going to happen, is probably going to have to start with Holman, Jump, Herring, and Ackenhausen. Your thoughts on that that I have?
What do you mean? In just
I just think if they're going to win, those
well?
guys are going to have to be really, really, really good.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, we've kind of seen it. Well, they've won 3 or 4 games, and 3 of those 4 guys that you mentioned were really, really good. So we've seen it. We've seen it work. And even in the Tennessee series that they lost, that they got swept in. They got swept in because of the offense. Yeah. I don't think it's because of the pitching staff. The pitching staff was pretty decent. I think Luke Coleman wasn't even at his best, and he threw pretty, and he only gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3 against a really, really good Tennessee offense. And Griffin Herring gave up 1 run, which is the 1 run he's allowed all SC play. And Gage Jump wasn't amazing, but he was good enough to kind of keep you in the game. And then Nate Ackenhausen had the first of 2 pretty good starts. So, we've kind of seen pitching-wise, they've kind of figured something out the last couple of weeks with those 4 guys. And they're going to have to ride on those 4 guys throughout the rest of the season. And it doesn't shock me that, it's those 4 guys that have ended up being very crucial for them, because I could have told you that at the beginning of the year. And Thatcher Hurd probably would have been the 5th guy, but, he struggled a lot. So, it's really those 4, and everyone else. You just kind of have to, hope maybe you can catch lightning in a bottle with 1 or 2 of them. They've tried Aiden Muffet a lot. They've tried Cam Johnson a lot in recent weeks out of the bullpen. recent weekends of the bullpen. So pretty varying results. But, the pitching overall has been a lot better recently. I think it's because of those four guys. And I think it's definitely very, very fair to say that they're going to be huge for them as we head down this final stretch.
Could you have seen an Ashton Larson breakout coming back in January, February?
Maybe not now, but eventually. What I mean by eventually, like next year, because he's just a freshman, and it's hard to expect too much from freshmen this early on. This much from freshmen in their freshman years. That's what I mean. That's what I meant to say. But with Ashton, he's just got a really sweet left-handed swing. He's got a lot of power and uses lower half really, really well generated. And right now it's mostly just pull side power, but I think eventually he could maybe start hitting balls hard the other way as well, the same way Tommy does, the same way Jared Jones can. He's just a talented kid with a really sweet swing, and seems like, and so far, I mean, his head's really on straight. He acts like a professional out there, and it's just been a major asset for this team, and that he has to play every day for them. He has played his way into everyday playing time, and I'm really curious to see how important he's going to be for them moving down the stretch, because I would put him in that sort of circle of trust when it comes to the hitting side, where it's him. Obviously, it's Tommy. Obviously, it's Jared Jones. He's been fantastic. Jared Jones has been really good this year, and I don't think people have talked about it enough. And those three guys at the very least, probably Michael. I put Michael Braswell in there as well, because I think Braswell's been pretty underrated at the plate this season. Those four guys are kind of in the circle of trust for Jay Johnson and this LSU team, and at least they should be, because those four guys have played pretty consistently well during conference play.
Y'all have done a great job of kind of picking Jay's brain on what are you telling the team about this rough start? What about the NCAA tournament? What about this weekend? And I think he's given some decent answers without revealing everything that goes on, and kind of saying that we laid everything out, and they know and they want to do well. But how do you think this team is handling showing up for a weekend like last weekend or like this, where you have to win 2 or 3 games, or else you're going to put yourself in a spot you just can't get back from?
So far, so good. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the confidence in their own games, right? And not, just totally freaking out about how they're playing individually, because once they start, playing better themselves, individually, again, for example, Michael Braswell's errors, he talked about this yesterday, it was pretty much all mental for him. But once he was able to gain some confidence and overcome that, he's actually been fine defensively, and he was even pretty good last night. Yeah. Made a couple of really nice plays. That's just that's just one small example, but I just feel it's just human nature if you're that down in yourself all the time, not just because of the losing, but also because you're just not playing well individually, then it's, bad things are going to happen. And that's what was happening for this team for a while. But, now since the schedule has lightened up for them a bit, which I think has been a big key in some of this, and, just guys gaining some confidence back again, now you're seeing them winning a couple games. You're seeing them playing just better baseball. You're seeing them get to their power a lot more easier offensively, which is pretty much the strength of this team. And then in the pitching side, they found a couple guys who kind of found a rhythm here outside of just Griffin Herring. So I think that, they're going to have to win this weekend series. And you've probably laid this out in your show a million times already, but I do want to note, they have to win this series this weekend. If they don't win this series, it's going to be close to impossible for them to make the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Just because you have Texas A&M the next weekend. And I mean, you hope you win a game there, but again, that's the number one team in the country. It's at home, but it's still the number one team in the country. And then it's Alabama, a pretty good team. They're ranked, and they'll probably make the tournament. And then it's Ole Miss, who are also contending to make the tournament, and they're kind of in the same boat as you are. So they're going to be playing for their lives in that last weekend as well. The Alabama series is also on the road. So that's even before you get to the SEC tournament. And you have to win probably one game in the SEC tournament just to get to the second weekend, so you can control your own fate a little bit more in that double elimination format. So it's really, really important for them to win this series. And I think every series moving forward, is going to be very, very important, but especially this one when you're facing a team that has 2 wins in conference play.
Yep.
So again, it's every weekend from here on out, it's going to be kind of a playoff series for them, and really almost a literal sense.
Sure is. We'll see you out at the box this weekend, Koki. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
He's Koki Riley, LSU beat reporter for The Advocate, covering the baseball team. Our baseball breakdowns all season long, brought to you by Pluckers. Get on back at some Breggie's Creole Crush. Alex Bregman's sauce, inspired by the Houston Astro and former Tiger. Awesome, awesome stuff over there at Pluckers, and we appreciate Koki for giving us a little info on baseball. He mentioned Griffin Herring and his draft status. I have not given that any thought, but I am right now, and I'll do that when we come back. Plus, we'll do some What If Wednesday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Neil and Melissa have been running Boudreaux's Electric for 40 years down in the 985. They're a certified Generac dealer. They are a premier Generac generator dealer. Once you get that Generac generator installed at your home or business, you already know that you have the peace of mind of knowing you're not going to be affected by power outages, whether hurricane related or just a summer storm or an ice storm like we had this winter. But what you may not know is that Boudreaux's Electric has the ability to monitor that generator remotely 24/7. So even if you don't know that something's happened, whether it's the kids playing out in the yard that throw a football off it and break it, or maybe there's just some sort of equipment malfunction, you may not know. They will at Boudreaux's Electric. They'll give you a call, say, hey, something's up with your generator. We're going to come out there and fix it, so that when you need that generator to spring into action, it will do that for you. We've got full-time technicians there that service and install those Generac generators, and every single generator purchase comes with a warranty. It's either 7 years or 10 years based on the kind of generator that you decide to purchase for your home or business. Give yourself the peace of mind to know the power outages are not going to affect you. It's 985-397-1562. 985-397-1562. That's my friends at Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques, Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We're previewing Pels Thunder Game 2, recapping LSU Nichols from the box, and the latest on the eve of the draft. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer Show hanging out here on a Wednesday. Appreciate you being with us. Cookie Riley brought something up there in that last interview that I hadn't given much thought to. Honestly, I didn't know that Griffin Herring was a draft-eligible sophomore. I learned that about some of the players when they're mulling the draft process as high schoolers. Griffin Herring didn't really have a decision to make as a high schooler. He was not a highly thought-of draft prospect as a high school senior, although his numbers in Texas were fantastic. Not a huge spin rate guy, not a huge velocity guy, just a really good high school left-hander who projected to be a college pitcher, and he's blossomed into a great one. And Kogi said he thought he would move on after this year. I don't know the Herring family. I don't know their situation. I don't know what Griffin thinks about LSU. I don't know how he feels about his prospects as a pro baseball player. I think it's possible that he would sign a pro contract after this year. I don't know that he would be a massively high pick. He's a left-hander who throws 92 miles an hour with a good slider and no changeup. I feel like those guys are pretty findable. What he could do next year is come back and potentially be a starting pitcher for LSU, work on that changeup, use LSU's pitching lab, add 2 miles an hour to the fastball, and all of a sudden you're a lefty who starts in the SEC, throws 95 miles an hour with a changeup and has that great slider. You've really created a little bit more value for yourself, and you haven't lost any leverage because you're only a junior. So there is plenty to gain by coming back, but Koki's absolutely right in his thought that like these outings that he had are kind of like starts, which is true. He's going 70 pitches in a couple of outings and has gotten through the order a couple times. So that opportunity does exist, but I feel like I'd be a little surprised if he left. Not shocked, not floored or stunned, a little surprised if Griffin Herring decided to move on. But again, I don't have any information there. That's just me taking what I know, which is his ability, his statistics, and his age and class, and kind of putting all those pieces together to form an opinion on that. So interesting thought by Koki, and that's one that got me thinking a little bit, and appreciate him allowing me to kind of opine on that just a little bit. All right, it's time for What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, first one here. This one's from Preston Guy, friend of the
him.
show. What if Cam Newton had decided to sign with LSU in 2010 instead of Auburn?
Well, they'd have won the national championship.
Yeah.
That Auburn team wasn't even good.
No.
And they won the national championship and went undefeated. That LSU team in 2010 already beat Alabama, and they got beat by Cam in Auburn. I mean, you're putting Cam with the Patrick Peterson team. I think that would have gone pretty good, quite frankly. I mean, that 2010 LSU team seems like a Stephen Ridley team there. That's the team that went to the Cotton Bowl. Terrence Tolliver, Reuben Randall. With those guys and an offensive line that was really good that year with Cam Newton and that defense with Tyrann Mathieu and Kevin Minner and Kelvin Shepard and Tyrann Mathieu. And Patrick Peterson. Did Minner and Shepard play together? I feel like Shepard may have been gone. I have to check that again. But yeah, I know what that team did without knowing every player that was on it. And you put Cam Newton on that team, lights out. That's a championship team. For sure.
All right, next one here. What if you were sitting in Corey's seat with no glove last night?
Okay, for those that missed this, because I did catch this. That's a bad pun there for Corey. Tommy White hit a home run last night in the late innings. It was 109 miles an hour off the bat. And our friend Corey was in the outfield and left and took it right off the forehead. I mean, right off the dome. Had the blood going. I mean, just a sad scene. Some folks had to go out there and check on him. He was okay. Said that Tommy might have to kiss his boo-boo this weekend when Corey comes back to the ballpark, which I respect. Come on back out to the ball yard. But without a glove in that seat, I'm going to say 68% chance I come up with a scratched hand, and that leaves that's 32% chance I make the catch. I'm definitely not getting hit in the face. I'm going to get it off to the side, and it's going to hit my hands. I can't promise I'm going to catch a 109-mile-an-hour laser. In high school, I would have caught it for sure. I haven't caught a baseball of any sort in a decade, so I don't know how it's going to go. But I'm going to get my hands in the right place. I just can't promise I'm going to catch it. We're gonna avoid facial injuries, though.
Yeah. I'm probably getting out of the way of that one.
I'm definitely not getting out of the way. No. I'm going to try to catch it.
Okay. All right, next one here. This one's from Will Stafford. What if the third strike for the third out in the 8th inning of Game 2 versus Florida was handled to preserve LSU's 2-run lead late in the game and we go on to win? Where would we be now as a team?
One win better. I think LSU would win that game if that strikeout's recorded and you take a 2-run lead into the 9th. I feel Ackenhausen was on, and he was throwing the ball pretty well. I think you win that game, but I don't think that that's why you got crushed the next day when Caglione pitched. I don't think that's why you didn't win the Vanderbilt series. I don't think that's why you got swept in Knoxville. I don't think that it was some sort of debilitating thing. It wasn't like an injury that took a key piece out of your team. You lost a run, and then you couldn't hold it. So yeah, I'd love to have that win because it changes the math. Every single win is so precious, and you're in a better position now than you would have been. But as far as like that one accounting for a couple more, I don't know that I can get on board with that.
All right, next one here. What if you had to pick one hole to watch at the Zurich this week?
First of all, I'm going to watch all the holes that Rory plays when I go out there that he's there, because that's something I've never seen before, and I want to see him hit driver all over that golf course. But to answer the question, one hole, there are a couple that I enjoy watching a lot. 8 is one of them for those that are going out there. It's a very short par 4. Some of the guys lay back and hit wedge. Some of the guys try to hit it way down there. Depends maybe on the day that you go. If you go on Thursday and Saturday, that's the best ball. So they'll hit it and go nuts. Alternate shot, they may be a little more conservative. But 8's a fun one to watch. 17 is fun to watch. It's a hard hole, but it's a par 3. Walk-Ons has that thing cornered. If you can find a way to get in that tent, I've been there thanks to some folks that I know. It's awesome, and the hole's a fun one to watch. 9 is also fun. It's another par 3 around the corner. So I've given you a bunch there, but I guess if I have to say what if you got one hole to watch, I like watching 8. I think it's fun.
It may not be the most original answer, but honestly, 18 is a really cool hole.
Par 5.
Yeah, it's a par 5, and usually, it's got the water on the right, so it also presents a challenge. So, and then I mean, if you're there on Sunday, 18 is usually a pretty fun hole to watch, especially if it's a close one. I remember a few years ago, I remember it was Billy Horschel and someone else with somebody hit in the water on 18, and they ended up losing because of that. So yeah, it's a lot of.
Oh, there was a playoff.
Yeah, the playoff. Yeah,
it was.
I think it was
Oosthuizen?
Yeah, maybe like Billy Horschel and
I think
someone else.
Oosthuizen fanned it.
Yeah,
in the
he
water.
hit it in the water. Yeah. So,
incidentally, when you go out to the Zurich, if any of y'all go, it is oddly, I don't want to say satisfying because I'm not pulling against these guys unless they go to live, which they couldn't play in the Zurich anyway. But it's comforting to see them hit some bad golf shots.
Yeah.
Like they hit some bad golf. I don't even know who it was because there's some guys out there that you don't really recognize. It's a lower level event, but like I saw somebody hit a tee shot on 17 last year, the par 3. It was 20 yards left into the water, like a pull hook into the water. I was like, oh, I got that shot.
Yeah,
I can hit that tomorrow. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll take 8.
Yeah, you don't usually see the really bad shots.
No,
on TV
because they're showing the guys that are playing really good.
Exactly. All right.
And I've also saw Sung J M make 5 birdies in a row. So it's you get them both.
All right, last one here. What if the Pels get swept?
I don't know that it's a huge indictment. You got a BI trying to get his wind and no Zion. Like, again, this is my same argument with college baseball. It's my same argument with college basketball, too. I just don't feel like I'm going to take 82 games and see what I saw and then boil it down to 4 and go, well, that's what's important when Zion's not there.
Right.
Now, if Zion was there and you got the, 6 seed and then got swept by the 3, I'd be like, well, that's an issue. But like without him, it's almost like house money. And I guess you're not supposed to think of it that way, but like, I hope they don't get swept, and it would disappoint me if they got swept in 4 games, but you don't have your X factor.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think the problem is that that's not the way a lot of times NBA teams view this. And I think there's a very realistic possibility that if they do get swept, and even if they don't get swept, let's say they lose in 5 or 6, I still think that there's a very good possibility that they blow this thing up. Not necessarily get rid of Zion, but they could move on from retool, move on from CJ, move on from Jonas. So yeah, it could be an interesting offseason for the Pels for sure if that happens.
But maybe they won't get swept.
Maybe not.
That's it for a What If Wednesday. When we come back, we will close out hour number 1 with some good news in the world of college football. That's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com. Been telling you this week about the huge success that they had over the weekend in the Parade of Homes. For those that aren't familiar, Parade of Homes is a builder's showcase here in Baton Rouge where they've built some homes and you're able to go tour them with the possibility of purchasing things. And Audio Video Security Solutions was selected to install some of their awesome stuff, for lack of a better term, to showcase on the Parade of Homes. And Mitchell was there demonstrating some of the things they can do on the audio side with television mounting, and they hooked me up with a great remote situation with the smart TV and all the apps that I can get to really, really easy. Like Myers wants to watch Bluey, it's a touch of a button. If I want to pull up the MLB app to watch the Cubs, boom, it's right there. They can also do surround sound. They can also do your security systems. They can do it all over there at Audio Video Security Solutions, and great job by them out at the Parade of Homes over the weekend. Check them out on Instagram. I think that's one of the great ways that you can see some of the great work that they do. Give them a follow. It's AVSS_BR on Instagram. Online, it's Audio Video Security Solutions at AVSSLA.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call
To a Thursday edition of Off the Bench's NFL Draft Day is upon us, and we're breaking it down. Also, LSU softball coach Beth Torina stops by at 8 a.m., and the head man of LSU baseball, Jay Johnson, along with our Munchie segment with Chef Michael Johnson. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Today it was announced that the Heisman Trust has re-awarded Reggie Bush his trophy. Of course, that was taken away in light of the sanctions levied in the case where Reggie Bush had impermissible benefits as an amateur athlete when he won his Heisman Trophy back early in this century. And they cited drastic changes in the world of college sports as the reason to make this happen. And incidentally, and kind of humorously, Johnny Manziel was toward the front of this entire thing at trying to make sure that Reggie Bush got his trophy back. Manziel has come clean on all of the things that he did in College Station, signing lots of stuff for lots of money, lying about money that his parents did or didn't have. Just came clean with it and was like, I did a lot worse than Reggie did. And I think most that are involved in college sports understood that that stuff was going on and are perfectly fine with Reggie Bush retaining his Heisman Trophy. I personally think that vacating wins is a nothing punishment. I think pulling banners down is a nothing punishment. Changing Wikipedia pages is a nothing punishment. And to me, Reggie Bush winning the Heisman Trophy, his experience that season, the month of December, going to New York and accepting the trophy and giving the speech, that is winning the Heisman Trophy. Absolutely. He deserves to have that trophy in his house. And I understand that giving that back would be very, very difficult. But the experience of winning it, knowing you were the greatest player in college football and truly one of the greatest players in college football history, is the biggest satisfaction in the whole thing. And so while I understand that it was against the rules at that point, and there is something to be said for knowingly breaking rules, this rule breaking did not impact his performance on the field. So you want to take something away for cheating, well, we're not going to give that back. You enhanced your performance, therefore this is null and void. Clearly, that's not the case in this instance. Reggie Bush got money and a place to live and shiny stuff in L.A., and they found out about it, and they took his trophy. But now, all's right in the world. I don't know what goes into being a Heisman winner. I know you get to vote, and I know you're often there at the ceremony in New York. I don't know what else goes into that. Maybe you get to do a Heisman House commercial for Nissan. But Reggie deserves his trophy. And I despised Reggie Bush at the time because, as you all know, LSU was in the throes of that 2003 season where you split the national championship. And we hated USC for that. And there was a time there, because that was my sophomore year in high school, where through that Reggie Bush time period into my early college, where I didn't think USC was ever going to lose a football game again. They just had so many dudes on both sides of the ball. They were just rolling, winning Heismans. God, I'm certain that Cal is not going to beat these guys. Arizona State has no chance. And I hated USC for that. But I can surely look back now 20 years later and go, that dude was something serious, and give him the trophy back. than they have as of today. I think some of y'all that are Saints fans have had that hate greatly reduced pretty much immediately when he wound up in New Orleans and was certainly part of one of your greatest sports memories. But this is right. This is just, it's unfortunate that it went this way, and that was against the rules then, but a lot of people were doing it. So the right thing is for Reggie Bush to have his Heisman Trophy and for him to take that home and for him to be celebrated as one of the great players in the history of college football and him to be present as more players have that honor bestowed upon them as the years come. Because I think the players right now, he's young enough, Reggie, that they know like how bad a dude he was. And for him to be there, you know, when you get that award, I think is a big deal. Do these guys know about Rocket Ismail? Do they know about, you know, Johnny Rogers? I don't know. I think they know Reggie Bush. That's it for hour number one here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. When we come back, LSU players in the draft. There's some stock changings. We'll talk about it after Sports Center on the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The NFL's highest paid receiver, now Amon-Ra St. Brown. He and the Lions agreed to a 4-year, $120 million extension, $77 million guaranteed. Detroit also rewarding offensive tackle Penei Sewell, 4 years, $112 million. Bengals picked up receiver Jamar Chase's fifth-year option, estimated value nearly $22 million. 14 years after Reggie Bush forfeited his 2005 Heisman Trophy in the wake of significant NCAA sanctions for USC, he got it back today. Heisman Trust formally reinstated the trophy to Bush amid what it calls enormous changes in the college football landscape. Something else may have been at play too, notes ESPN college football senior writer Pete Thamel.
He is a transformative figure. In my 21 years doing this, I have never covered a player that's been more electric. He had like 2,900, a little less than 2,900 yards for total yards his junior year. I mean, he was silly. It's absolutely silly what he did on the football field at USC.
Pete Thamel on the Pat McAfee Show.
Feeling great starts with a great shave, and great shaves start with Barbasol Shaving Cream. That's Barbasol Shaving Cream, an American classic for over 100 years. Close Shave America, Close Shave Barbasol.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Number 2 Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Thanks for spending your Wednesday with us. Half the work week in the rear view mirror. Invite you all to come out to Don Juan Cigar Bar tomorrow for the NFL Draft. Our show presented by Boudreaux's Electric. Be up and running around 7 o'clock, I would imagine. First pick set for about 7:30. Lots of our staff will be there. Jake and T-Bob out for the rest of the week, but we'll be there having a lot of fun, so we invite you to come on out and hang with us. If you can't, check us out on YouTube. We'll be on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube stream live with every pick of the first round. I want to talk, as we start hour number 2, about a couple of LSU Tigers and their stocks kind of going in a little bit of a different direction. One of them may be moving significantly. The other, I do not believe to be moving significantly, but it feels like based on the Vegas odds, it is moving a little bit backwards. That is Brian Thomas. Now, don't misunderstand me, please. I'm not suggesting Brian Thomas is sliding to 46 in the draft. No. I expect him off the board tomorrow. But when he ran his time at the Combine, we all kind of sat back and went, whoa. Like, really? 4.33? One of the fastest times in the Combine? And you start to look at the measurables. He's every bit as tall as Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome Odunze at 6'3". She's taller than Malik Neighbors. He's got that length, the speed. He's got a better 40 time than Rome Odunze. The production, he led the country in touchdowns. Like, all these things you start to tick off. You're going, this is a guy that's going to be potentially ticketed towards the top 20 in the draft. I mean, we had conversations early on about whether or not the Saints might be interested, because we know at some point they're going to need to deal with pass catching. But Vegas has backed those odds up. Now, that could be for a number of reasons. It could be because they're hearing something. It could be because there's buzz that so many people are going up to get offensive tackles and pass rushers and quarterbacks that wide receiver gets pecked down a little bit. It could be because there's a medical issue. Jimmy Ott on Live at Lunch hinted at that yesterday, saying there potentially could be something that was found during the medicals. And Brian Thomas has been pretty healthy at LSU. He missed a little time, but he's been pretty healthy. And running a 4.33 seems pretty healthy to me. So my sincere hope is that that's just some misinformation and that someone is going to fall in love with Brian Thomas somewhere right around 15, 18, 19, and that he is a mid-first-round pick. But in any event, even if he does back up from what could have been 18 to somewhere around 25, that is a hit in the wallet for Brian Thomas, but I think still a feather in his cap to go in the first round of the NFL draft, especially when you consider that he was lined up opposite of another guy who's going in the first round of the NFL draft. Does help when another guy that's going in the first round of the NFL draft was throwing the ball to both of you. We get that at this point. But we'll see something to monitor with Brian Thomas, like what does that stock look like as things happen. The other guy that's moving up significantly is Mason Smith. And I am all for that. I think it's awesome. If Mason Smith goes in the top 40 picks of this draft, I think that's fantastic for him, for his family. What an opportunity. But I'm here to offer analysis, and it is a little bit puzzling. And I'll tell you why, and it's for, I think, a lot of the reasons that you already know. Like, if you're looking at the quote-unquote boxes to check, does Mason Smith's film explode off the screen? No. There's not a lot from his freshman year. There's none from his sophomore year. And he was pretty quiet on a bad defense, not his fault, as a junior. Like, the film's not going to be overwhelming. Production, that's kind of in the same vein, although a little bit different, because you can produce at the college level without showing the flashes that NFL scouts and GMs are looking for. But no, he wasn't overly productive at LSU. Again, because he didn't play that much as a freshman and didn't play at all as a sophomore and was on a bad defense that wasn't overly productive as a junior. Well, what about the medical? Well, he tore his ACL on a freak injury, but that is a torn ACL on a very, very big man. And then he comes back for camp as a junior in the fall and gets a lower extremity injury, whether it was foot, ankle, I can't even remember. But that cost him a little bit of time. So you can't really check that because it's two different injuries on two different seasons that cost him different amounts of time. And to bowl all that together, they were both leg injuries. So we're 0 for 3 there, and we settle on what you already know. It's the size. And this goes back to my point, like that I talk about all the time. It's not nearly earth-shattering opinion making, but it just is what it is. Like, guys that are 6'6", 315, that can move a bit and are strong as an ox, just are very difficult to find. And Mason Smith is one of those. If you would have told me when he declared back in, what was that, December, January, I don't remember when Mason Smith decided he was done. I think it was after the bowl game. In fact, I feel comfortable saying it was after the bowl game. If you would have told me what round's he going to go in, I would have said, first of all, I really don't have a good range on this, but I'll throw a guess out there. I'll say he's a 5th round pick. I'll say somebody takes a flyer on Mason Smith in the 5th round because 5th round picks don't hit that often, but he's got a really high ceiling as a 5th round pick. And now I would be flatline stunned if he got to the 4th round. And that's based not on film watching, which I do think a lot of the talking heads that have watched more Jaden Daniels over the last 3 months than they had previously have moved him up. That doesn't mean that the NFL scouts have been that late to the party, but that's the case with film study, and there's not a lot of that that's going to pop for Mason Smith, and it's not like he's showing that he's healthy. Like, he's not coming off a major knee injury. That was back almost 2 years ago. It's just, I think, the potential that people are talking about. Now, all that stuff I feel very comfortable in talking to you about. Size, production, medicals, all that stuff. As far as defensive fit, that's where you start to have me draw back. I'm not an expert on bare fronts and over fronts, 3-4s, 4-3s. That stuff is beyond me in this chair. But what it strikes me as is there's a specific style of defense that needs this specific skill set. And as I just mentioned, this specific skill set is very hard to come by. And it's worth giving it a shot earlier than later. And it feels like now that Mason Smith's going to be a top 50 pick. Now, I said when he declared, I think this is a big financial mistake. Because there's nothing to be drafted off of. And it's not like baseball where you lose your leverage coming back. They're going to pay you what they pay you based on the slot when you get in the NFL draft. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope a team proves me wrong. Likely on Friday. That's the goal. That's one where I don't want to be right. But I am here to give you what I think. And at that time, I was looking at all the things that I know about the NFL draft, and Mason Smith wasn't checking any boxes. But he may have checked the most important one, where Brian Thomas may have a check in the negative on a medical. Mason Smith may check the box in terms of the size on the interior defensive line. The teams just can't ignore. But we'll find out. We think Jaden's locked in at 2. We think Malik's not locked in the top 10. And then where does Brian Thomas fall in the next 15, 20 picks? And what's next for Mason Smith? Fascinating stuff from an LSU football perspective with the NFL draft, and we're certainly fired up to be talking about it here over the next couple of days. We got SEC baseball power rankings. They are coming up in about 20 minutes. So we got a lot to do here on this Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Sandegriff joined me and Jimmy out for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from the original Walk-Ons, Burbank at Nicholson. Dwayne Colucci and Matt Humans join us from Las Vegas, and it is finally NFL Draft Day, Round 1. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Thursday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mark your calendar and invite your friends as we celebrate the NFL Draft in style with the Boudreaux's Electric ESPN Baton Rouge Draft Party, live from Don Juan's Cigar Bar and exclusively on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Join us tomorrow, April 25th at 7 p.m. and hang with the ESPN Baton Rouge Dream Team while indulging in the finest cigars paired with signature cocktails. It's the Boudreaux's Electric ESPN Baton Rouge Draft Party at Don Juan's Cigar Bar and live on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Do we think Cade wrote that promo?
I think probably, yes.
I appreciate Cade for writing those promos, and I appreciate him calling us the Dream Team.
Yeah, of course.
I think we have a lot of similarities to Magic, Bird, Jordan.
Yep.
A lot of similarities to Pippen, Ewing.
Maybe
Robinson,
maybe
Leitner.
more. Yeah, I would say maybe more aptly compared to Christian Leitner. I think he's I think he just is a businessman now or something like that.
Oh, Leitner, that Dream Team doc where they talk about him like he was like whatever team got him in the scrimmage and knew they were going to lose because he had no chance of playing with them. Oh, man.
Should have been Shaq.
The best piece of film from that Dream Team documentary was actually not the hidden footage from that famous scrimmage where they were going at each other and it was Jordan and Magic. Like, that's the one that basketball junkies love the most, and I certainly love that. I got the most entertainment value out of John Stockton at the Olympics in Barcelona with his family. John Stockton, who is taller than your average guy. What's he, like 6'3"?
6'2", 6'3",
okay,
something
but
like that.
just your normal guy with his family there. And had a fanny pack on, and he walks up to this guy or this kid with a Dream Team shirt on, and it's like cartoon Dream Team, and John Stockton's like, "Is this the Dream Team?" The kid's like, "Yeah," and the guy's like, "Oh, that's incredible, man! Who are some of these players?" Da 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 da, and like starts rattling off, and then John Stockton's kid, who's real small at the time, walks up and points to the shirt unannounced and is like, "Dada," and the kid like looks down at his shirt, and then he looks up at John Stockton, looks down, and he's like, and the kid's eyes like almost fall out of his head. He's like, "Oh my God, John Stockton!" He didn't even recognize him in the madness that is the Olympics. That's quality stuff from that Dream Team doc there. All right, last night LSU beat Nichols 9-0. And I thought they played well. Obviously, pitching staff did a very good job of holding Nichols without a run. Held him to just 3 hits. The walks were at a minimum, only 3 in the game. 2 were from the starter, Cade Anderson. And then Thatcher Hurd had to shoot a leadoff walk before he struck out the side. Thought Dutton looked very good in inning and 2/3, threw a lot of strikes. Christian Little has a way of overpowering some of those midweek teams, which is good to see and certainly good for his draft stock, I would think. Lohr got the out that he was asked to get from the left-hander with that fly ball to center field as well. So a nice job from what has now kind of become the midweek crew. It's been a flip where now you're seeing far more of Cam Johnson and Aiden Moffitt in big spots on the weekend, and Thatcher Hurd and Christian Little and Sam Dutton in the midweek. And I was thinking about Thatcher Hurd, last night as he was pitching in front of nobody against Nicholls State on a Tuesday and hadn't pitched in back-to-back SEC weekends. And I'm just having a hard time coming up with a proper comparison to Thatcher Hurd's career arc here in Baton Rouge. I've seen plenty of guys come in via the JUCO ranks or via transfer with big-time stuff that didn't necessarily become superstars. That happens fairly often. I mean, Cam Sanders is a good example of that in the Maneri era. He came in and had huge stuff, but didn't really throw strikes, never really factored in. They were really excited to get Will LaMarche to campus, and I know that most of you listening don't even know who that is. Well, Will LaMarche, when they brought him in as a transfer, from junior college had this huge fastball and big-time stuff, and I thought he'd be either the Friday guy or maybe a closer, and it just never really worked out. And the guys that don't work out kind of get lost in history, and, like, I'll remember some of them because I was on the beat at the time, but most of you listening, like, probably won't. And right now, Thatcher Hurd is a guy who doesn't really play a huge role on the team. But that certainly in no way takes away from the fact that last year he showed up and had just massive performances late in the year. I mean, that regional outing was incredible. 12 strikeouts after a rain delay when Ty Floyd had to leave the game. And I know y'all will all point, I'll go, what's his best College World Series outing? And you go, oh, Florida, national championship game. Well, yeah, that was great, but if he gives up a run against Wake in the Skeens-Louder game, we probably lose. And he didn't. He hung zeros. Now, they hit the ball pretty hard at times, but he hung zeros with the season on the line. And then he pitches that game against Florida, where after Wyatt Langford hits the 2-run homer, second at bat of the game, he settles in and just absolutely dominates a team that looked like they were playing slow-pitch softball the day before. So I think it was reasonable for us to anticipate Thatcher Hurd having a monster role on this team. And it just hasn't really materialized. And I struggle to think of a player that has come in with that type of hype that he did. Now, he's coming off injury, and he hadn't been a proven college commodity, but you felt pretty good about it. And then kind of showed you every bit of that potential, and now has kind of lost the faith of the staff in big moments. It's not something I can recall seeing ever. And hopefully there's a happy ending to this chapter. Because Thatcher Hurd, based on pure ability, you're talking about a guy with a 97-mile-an-hour top-end fastball and a spin rate on his breaking ball that is above Major League average. Someone will take him in the first 45 picks of the draft. Someone will. So he's not going to come back next year to figure something out. But hopefully something clicked. I don't know if it's last night or in a bullpen. And he can be used in high leverage spots. Because if you were listening in the first hour when we talked to Koki Riley, I said, I think for LSU to turn this around and make a run, and that's what we're talking about here is hypotheticals, then you're going to have great outings from Luke Holman, Gage Jump, Griffin Herring, and Nate Ackenhausen. Like, those are the four guys you're going to have to depend on 4 out of 4 times the next 4 weeks. Like, you cannot have those guys falter over the next 4 weeks. Because it's far more likely that those guys pitch great when they've pitched great this year than expecting someone who hasn't necessarily been in that role to show up and all of a sudden, I'm ready, here I come, I'm the difference maker. No, I'm going to lean on the guys that have shown themselves to be more dependable when we're forecasting this. But if you're going to dip into that bucket and this pitching staff that we all lauded, my hands up, me, said it. If we're going to dip into that staff and find a little bit of the depth that we talked about in January and February, the first guy I've got to go to here is Thatcher Hurd. The moment can't be too big. How could it be too big after those outings against Wake Forest and Florida? It's a matter of execution. And now all of a sudden, if I get Thatcher Hurd right, okay, I've got now a fifth guy. And now you're getting close to being able to put the weekend together. Whether you need Gavin Guidry or Cade Anderson, whether you need Aiden Moffitt, whether you need Justin Lohr or Cam Johnson, like, those are question marks. But if I can get the 4 that I mentioned at the top, Hellman's, that's mayonnaise. Holman, Jump, Ackenhausen, and Herring, and then add Hurd to the mix, okay, I think I can win with that at the level they need to. It's going to be tough against A&M. But those guys can beat Ole Miss. Those guys can beat Auburn. And I think that's what you're going to need to see here. At least that's the hope. You're not going to get any bouquets from anybody for beating Nichols. They got a really good team in the Southland. Doesn't matter on the weekend. LSU has handled their midweek business. The Grambling loss, the Southern loss, was heinous. But they've handled their business in the midweek. They handled their business in the pre-conference. It's the 30 games on the weekends against the teams in your league that are the ones that define you. We all know that, and right now the definition is not very good. But if it's going to get better, those pitchers have got to take a step and hope the bats come along with them. One more point before we get to some SEC baseball power rankings. Our baseball breakdowns all season long brought to you by Pluckers. Jamar Chase had his option exercised. I'm not sure that was a long discussion in the Cincinnati war room. I think they probably are spending a little bit more time on scouting the NFL draft than whether or not they want to extend the rookie contract of their all-pro wide receiver. But Jamar Chase will be there in Cincinnati for another year. And the sincere hope and guess is that they will find a way this year to extend that contract and to keep him a Cincinnati Bengal for a long time. And I think this is going to necessitate the Bengals making a move for a wide receiver because you weren't going to be able to keep Chase and Higgins and Boyd, and you already let Hurst go. So it's Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and then whatever we can make work around that. And I think it's going to involve a draft pick this year, but we'll see. Jamar Chase, one more year under this contract in Cincinnati, then the big dollars start flooding in, and that's when things get real tough for Cincinnati because Burrow and Chase were real cheap when you got to the Super Bowl. They're about to be real not cheap coming up here in the very, very near future. But good news for Jamar Chase. His contract extended. He knew that was coming. Now it's just a matter of, hey, let's get the mega deal on that second league deal. All right, let's come back with some SEC baseball power rankings on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
You're simply not going to want to miss this live. One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. I tell you about them every single day, and you've heard me talk about it every single day, but you have not heard me say this. $1,000 towards your project if you mention the Hunt Palmer Show at One Bath and Closets. $1,000 in savings if you mention the Hunt Palmer Show for your new closet, your new bathroom. That's a pretty good start. I know a lot of y'all are in a situation where you love your interest rate. Maybe you don't love your home. Well, let's change it up a little bit. Let's add some value to it. Let's make it more livable. Brand new custom closet. Brand new custom bathroom. Seems like a big undertaking. It's not, because you call one contractor, One Bath and Closets. They set your schedule. They tailor it to your needs. They get it done the first time and leave the competition behind. And then, when it's time to pay, $1,000 off for listeners of the Hunt Palmer Show. But you got to tell them that you heard about it right here. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. That's onebathandclosets.com. Look at the free consultation there. Look at the pictures of their great work. See the testimonials from satisfied customers. And tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you to onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We're previewing Pels Thunder Game 2, recapping LSU Nichols from the box, and the latest on the eve of the draft. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
While you're busy with spring cleaning, we'd like to add to the clutter in your bank account to the tune of $2,000. It's the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust. Register today at 1045ESPN.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We got 2 segments left here on this Wednesday. We're working towards the weekend in the middle of the week. Gorgeous day here in the capital city. Hope you're having a great one wherever you may be listening to us. We certainly appreciate you for doing that. It is that time of the week for some SEC baseball power rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. When you want the definitive, unquestioned pecking order of the SEC, who do you call? Hunt Palmer. Take it away, Hunt.
I'll be honest. I'm not 1,000% on these. I'm just not. There's a clutter there. There's some I was indecisive about. I'm being upfront with you. Now, I realize that it says that it's the definitive power rankings, and I'll go with the voice guy. He's more authoritative than me. But it is what it is. We'll see how things go here. I gave this a lot of thought at the top. I really did. I did not rush into this. I flip-flopped it a little bit here and there. I'm going with Arkansas at the top.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hagen Smith gives me that authority because Texas A&M's rotation is good. They don't have him, and he makes things different. So give me Hagen Smith. He's gone exactly 6 innings in all 6 SEC starts. He's got 60 strikeouts in 36 SEC innings, 5 earned runs. Now, too many walks the last 3 starts. He's got to clean that up. But Arkansas's offense is not as good as A&M's. Their staff is better, and it starts with the ace. I'll take the ace and the solid offense. I've got Arkansas at number 1, but at number 2.
Texas A&M!
Texas A&M. The SEC only ERAs for their weekend starters. Ryan Prager's is 4.60. Justin Lampkins is 8.46. And Tanner Jones is 5.96. So that's not awesome. Now, their lineup's awesome. Braden Montgomery is terrifying. I wish he was in Baton Rouge. Jace Lavallette's a freak. They've had Gavin Grahovic be stud as a freshman. They're a scary team. They're number 1 for a reason. But I slightly lean towards Arkansas as the number 1 team. Number 3.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Still think the Vols are number 3. They have won every series since they lost the opener 2 of 3 at Alabama. They just went to Lexington and got 2 of 3. They could have gotten all 3 of those games if they make a tough play at third base in game 1. It was a line shot that ate up the third baseman a little bit and allowed 2 runs to score, and Kentucky ended up winning that game. If they make that play, they may sweep that series in Lexington. Tennessee's arms don't look awesome from a a metrics perspective, but we saw them. They pitched it pretty good against LSU, and that lineup with Christian Moore and Blake Burke, which incidentally, those two guys are racing to be the all-time Tennessee home run leader. They've both vaulted into first and second, and it's been fascinating to watch those guys. Christian Moore had a three home run game the other day. So that's the Vols at number 3. At number 4,
the Kentucky Wildcats.
I'll give Kentucky up to number 4 here, even though they're 15-3, good enough to lead the Southeastern Conference. That SEC record is inflated, but it's a good baseball team. If they go 5-7 down the stretch, they're going to be a national seed. They may not even have to do that. Now, what does that stretch look like? It's at South Carolina, Arkansas, at Florida, and Vanderbilt. But all they need is 5-7 at this point because of what they've done to this point, going 15-3 in league games. Kentucky is at number 4.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Number 5, I've got Vanderbilt. They got outclassed 2 weeks ago in College Station. No two ways about that. But the staff velocity that we saw here in Baton Rouge stands out to me. Holton is really, really good. And I just think that Tim Corbin's team's more often than not going to find a way to be good enough offensively and athletic enough to score some runs behind a great pitching staff. I mean, they're 30-11 to this point. They're 10-8 in league play. Like, that's a pretty good spot to be in. I don't think they're a great team. I think they're good enough. I've got Vanderbilt at number 5.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
State's just solid. I've got them at number 6. They've played a rubber game in every week until last week when they swept Auburn. They're just steady. They're good enough on the mound. They're throwing way more strikes than they did last year. You know about the guys who gave LSU fits in that conference opener, Hunter Hines and Dakota Jordan, but they've also got other guys in that lineup that have stepped up and have been good, and they just find a way to win a couple games most weekends. And at this point, they sit there at 10-8. Chris Lamonis saving his job at this point. I've got State at number 6.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Gamecocks walk a lot. None of their other offensive numbers are awesome, and their pitching numbers are mediocre. But they haven't gotten swept yet. That's a very good thing for a middle-of-the-road SEC team, and they swept Vanderbilt back in March. So they've got a tough road coming here. They got a good draw earlier to get Arkansas and Kentucky at home. Those are tough series. They got a game off of both of them by playing them at home. But they're 9-9 and in a good spot right now. Number 8.
The Florida Gators.
Would have never thought Florida would be down here at number 8, and they may be worse than that, quite frankly. I may be just giving them credit because of the colors on their uniform. They're 3rd in the SEC in home runs, but that's kind of it. They're 9th in batting average, 13th in on-base percentage, 11th in doubles. Like, that's not very good. They've got the 3rd most strikeouts in the league. Their pitching is the 14th ranked ERA in the SEC and 13th in opposing batting average. They did beat Texas A&M and Mississippi State in series, so that's something that I guess I have to account for. But here comes some trouble. Here's their next 3 weeks. I don't think this is in the right order, but it is the 3 teams. Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky are the next 3 weeks for the Florida Gators. If they find a way to go like 2-7 through that stretch, they may be missing the NCAA tournament altogether. Go time for Kevin
LSU
O'Sullivan.
Tigers.
All right, LSU at number 9. I'm probably giving them too much credit. Hand up. But I just want to believe. I want to believe the schedule is that hard. I want to believe they're going to turn a corner and win 5 of 6 league games with 2 in the rearview mirror and 3 with Auburn this week. I want to believe. It's my show. I want to believe. I will believe. Got them at number 9. No statistical measure backs that up. I back it up because, as we said, definitive SEC power rankings, right?
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Charlie Condon wants some stats. He's hitting for the season .477 with 26 home runs. His OPS is 1680. Half that would be pretty good. 1680 OPS. In league games, you think he's piling all this up against non-league opponents? Think again. He's hitting .431 with 11 homers in league games. Goodness gracious. Georgia's found they don't have a reliable starter to go to, but they're winning some games because they hit, and Charlie Condon's the reason for it. I've got them at number 10.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
This may be low, but I'm just calling it like I see it. When I watch Bama, which is more than I care to admit, I don't like their pitching. Now, they went 3-3 against Arkansas and A&M. Both were in Tuscaloosa, but they got 3 games in that 2 weekend. They beat Arkansas 2 out of 3. And now they've got a pretty favorable draw. It's at Ole Miss. It's at Mississippi State. It's LSU. It's at Auburn. None of those teams are setting the world on fire. State's the best on paper. Bama could be a host eventually. Now, they're 7-11. It's not incredible. But it wouldn't surprise me either if they lost at Ole Miss 2 out of 3. Like, it wouldn't. We'll see. I got Bama at number 11.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Speaking of Ole Miss, they're at 12. They got 2 out of 3 from Mississippi State. They're staying alive like LSU did. But it's just not a good team. Their luck, like LSU, like Bama, because all these teams play each other, they've got winnable series coming up. They've got Auburn, LSU, and Alabama still on the schedule. But Mason Nichols is their best reliever, and he left with some shoulder stuff. If he can't pitch, they don't really have anywhere to go. They've got a bad pitching staff, and he's been the constant. They don't have him. Big trouble. Ole Miss at 12.
The Missouri Tigers.
Missouri's moving up in the world. Got him at 13. Congrats to Missouri. Moving up to number 13 in the power rankings. That'd be like Vanderbilt in either. No, who is? No, Missouri. They were in basketball. They were last the whole time because they went winless. So that's a lot of weeks at the bottom of the barrel between basketball and baseball for Missouri. They move up to 13. Javen Pimental is decent. They got really nothing on offense, but they've won some games. They're playing hard. Their park's weird, and they're better than Auburn.
The Auburn Tigers.
Everybody's better than Auburn at this point. We're going to get into what has plagued Auburn this year over the next couple of days as we welcome them to the box this weekend. But they're 2-16 in league play. They've lost their last 7 in league play. They've been swept 3 times. They're not good, and I've got to put them at number 14. Those are your SEC power rankings. I'll run through them one more time. Sans the music here. Arkansas at 1, A&M at 2, Tennessee at 3, Kentucky at 4. I feel good about that part of it. This is where you get sticky. Vandy at 5, State at 6, South Carolina at 7, Florida at 8, LSU at 9, Georgia at 10, Bama at 11, Ole Miss at 12, Missouri at 13, and Auburn at 14. You wanted to tell me that Alabama's 7th and Florida's 9th or 10th? I could probably get on board with that. But this is what the power rankings say. So we'll see what we can do about it next week. All right, we'll take one more time out. When we come back, we'll play some Take It or Leave It and get on down the road. It is The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit us at LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino this spring for all the hoops and hockey playoff action. We got the biggest screens, the best food and drink, plus we're giving away Penn Cash bonuses and prizes to Penn Play Rewards members. What could be better than that? Huge screens, awesome food and drink, and cash. If you're not a member, join today. All you got to do is download and register for the Penn Play app from the App Store and unlock all the fun, including a chance to win up to $2,000 in Penn Cash. All this and more. Make LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino your spring sports viewing headquarters. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-522-4700.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
A Thursday edition of Off the Bench's NFL Draft Day is upon us, and we're breaking it down. Also, LSU softball coach Beth Torina stops by at 8 a.m., and the head man of LSU baseball, Jay Johnson, along with our Munchie segment with Chef Michael Johnson. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
The excitement is building as the 2024 NFL Draft will kick off right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Tune in tomorrow night at 6, Friday night at 6, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Our coverage of all 7 rounds is brought to you locally by Boudreaux Electric. 2024 NFL Draft live on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, closing things down here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you for listening to us. We got one more order of business to take care of. That, of course, is take it or leave it.
Alrighty, first one here. Reports are surfacing that equity in the PGA Tour will be announced to players who stayed. Tiger reportedly set to get $100 million. Not $100 million, $100 million. Rory, $50 million. And Jordan Spieth, $30. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Look, they have to make peace here with everybody, and it's a really, really tough spot to be in. Because even if you cut Jordan Spieth a check for $30 million, like, what did Brooks Koepka get to go? $200, and then he just gets to come back in. That's tough. And so, do you make it where Jordan Spieth has higher earning potential with the growth of professional golf, which is not going to be the PGA Tour, that Brooks Koepka doesn't have access to because he took the money? I don't know how any of it works, but they're trying to get things back together. Like, I was listening to Scott Rabelais earlier on Live at Lunch, and he was talking about the future of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich is in the same light as the Houston Open and the John Deere that he mentioned, and the 3M Open, and, you know, PGA West that they play out there in Palm Springs. And, like, it's just a lower level tour event, and these are the events that are under the biggest threat by this whole deal. It sounds like to me that the future here is big money Saudi PIF fund and private equity groups from around the world fund a global golf tour that no longer stops at the Zurich and stops at the Waste Management Open and stops at the Honda Classic, and you're going to play, you know, obviously the majors, but you're also going to play Pebble, and you're going to play Torrey Pines, and you're going to play, you know, Jack's event, and then you're going to go to Dubai, and then you're going to go play in Australia for 2 weeks, and then you're going to play in Scotland for 2 weeks and do that. Like, they're going to do away with the PGA Tour as we know it, and they're going to take the biggest and baddest players and travel the world. I hate it selfishly because it's hard for me to pay attention to an event in Dubai. I don't know what they're, and then if they,
it's usually going to be at like 2 a.m. in the morning.
And if the Crushers are playing the Stingers and the High Flyers, like, I don't give a rip about that. So I don't like the direction that it's going, but I know that it is going that way because you can't stop this Saudi money. And so what you're going to have to do to get everybody together is mend fences with these guys who stayed with the PGA Tour doing what they felt was best for the game of golf, as opposed to all the live guys who went to take the money, who would tell you they're trying to grow the game of golf, but none of them went for free. So it doesn't hold any water whatsoever. So we'll see if this works for these guys. There are not that many who are entitled to a bunch of money. Like Wyndham Clark hasn't done a bunch on the tour to like deserve a huge ton of cash. Yeah, he won the U.S. Open, but like Jordan Spieth's been doing this for 10 years. Same thing with Justin Thomas in that 30 million range, and it's a very difficult spot. I don't want to be the guy who has to stand in there and navigate it. But if we're getting closer to everybody playing together, like that's a good thing. I'm frightened to know where they're playing and what the format is and how often.
All right, next one here. Bill Belichick is set to join the Manning brothers on their Monday Night Football broadcast. Belichick and the Mannings. Take it or leave it.
Take it.
I'll take it.
Here's why. I'm not convinced that Bill Belichick will be any good at TV at all. He might be, he might not be. What I do know is we will find out if he was just playing it up in those press conferences. Like if he's still like kind of is monotone and mumbles and is not real informative or detail-oriented or projects, then that's just kind of who Bill Belichick is. If he comes out there and cracks a few jokes and gives you some, then you just know that he went to the podium for 25 years and just made reporters' lives miserable on purpose. And there are a lot of you listening that are like, oh, that's hilarious. I hope that is what he did. And I would just suggest that's just not a way to treat people. But we'll see. I want this to happen so that I can tell in the end.
All right, next one here. The Pels even the series tonight. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I don't hate them plus the points. You're getting a couple possessions there. But I can't pick them to win the game. They've been great on the road. I know, awesome on the road. And you were really in that game late in game one. But I think the Thunder's a better team. And without Zion, I just have a hard time pulling the trigger. You're going to need, as I say all the time with these games, it gets old and tiresome, but it doesn't remain any less true. You got to make shots. And if they can make a bunch of shots and keep Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in his pocket like he was a lot of the game back over the weekend, then you got a shot.
All right, last one here. To use a cliche, the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. Apparently they are. They're leading their playoff series 2-0 right now. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. I'm not going to apologize for the fact that the television product to me looks a little bit better when the Knicks hit a huge three and Madison Square Garden comes alive and there's Ben Stiller and Chris Rock going nuts. That's cooler to me than Portland doing something awesome. I'm an unbiased NBA observer. I don't have hatred for any of those teams. That's cooler to me than if the T-Wolves get rolling. Maybe it's not fair that big markets and brands feel that way at times, but that seems cooler. It's a bummer for them that you kind of lose one of your best players and then Jalen Brunson's not playing that well, but it's a cool scene when the Garden gets going, and we just have not seen that at all. I think maybe we might get a little bit tired of Boston or LA when they're so good so often. Oh, there's Jack Nicholson again. But the Knicks have sucked forever, so when they're good, it's oh, this is a cool thing. So we'll see if they can finish things off with Philly. That'll do it for Take It or Leave It. Open the show today talking about my fears with the New Orleans Saints and their first pick based on James Hurst's retirement and some tweets surfacing that a lot of teams may be looking to move up to draft offensive tackles. That screams to me that Mickey Loomis is going to do something real rash and real quick. We'll see. But I gave you my thoughts at 1 o'clock. You can also find them at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Koki Riley talking baseball with us at 1:15. It was a What If Wednesday. What if Cam Newton played for LSU? We talked about that. Reggie Bush got his Heisman back. That was in hour number 1 as well. Is Brian Thomas's stock slipping just a touch? Maybe. Is Mason Smith soaring? Maybe. had some thoughts there at 2:30. Jamar Chase got his option picked up. We briefly touched on that, as well as Thatcher Hurd's role in LSU's pitching staff moving forward. My SEC baseball power rankings at 2:30, and then a little bit of take it or leave it. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand at 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can certainly always find us. We'll be back tomorrow, same time and same place, getting you ready for the NFL draft. Matt's about to drive you home. I'm guessing he's going to do a lot more of the very same. Stick with AFR. See you tomorrow on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event.